Is Skip Schumaker seeing 2020 on this beautifully sunny day in North Texas? It doesn't feel like winter, but the winter meetings are here. Jeff is there. I am here. And Jeff, we're glad to have you. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast, of course. And Jeff's there. I'm here. Kat's at her place. The skipper is with Jeff, so that should help. Well, we hope it will and not hurt. Jeff, but in any event, weirdly, the skipper left after you and got there before you.
Yeah, it was not a great travel day yesterday. It was fine in Dallas, but then the rain. I don't know if anybody watched the Saints and the Buccaneers in Tampa. The rain then, moved east. And what's east of Tampa? Well, Orlando. So, yeah, we were sent to Charleston, South Carolina for some gas. And they said, "Oh yeah, we'll get you out there." We landed at 8, departure 12:15 a.m. And then they're like, "Well, the crew is coming from Charlotte, and they haven't left yet, so let's make it 1:30." And then it was, the Charlotte plane, they got to switch the plane. They got a bad plane, so we're going to go ahead and make it 3. And they're like, well, that plane now has a bad thing, so we're just going to make it 7:30 in the morning. So I have a story to tell, I guess, and not a good story. It sucks.
No, that's not a fun story.
But I'm here.
Did you just sleep in the airport then, or did you go get a room?
I
you
did.
Slept in the airport?
Yeah, I mean, by the time they canceled it, it's like,
late.
well,
yeah.
By the time, and like, I checked the bag foolishly, and so it's like, could they even get the bag off the plane? Would they even do that for me?
No.
And then at that point, it's like, I'm going to be at the hotel for an hour. So
yeah.
I found a way to sleep a little.
Good.
My butt's sore though. Yeah.
Well, that's good because at least the days are long now, and you don't get any sleep while you're there anyway. But okay, so the big news for us today, though, and we start with this, is the fact that Skip Schumaker was one of the very first managers to meet with the media at this winter meetings. All of them do it over the course of a 2-day period. The majority of them are scheduled for today. Skip was like in the second grouping, I think, of managers.
Yeah.
So anyway, what was the crowd like, first of all? Was it a pretty big crowd to hear the new manager of the Rangers?
Pretty good. Not Yankees and Red Sox or Dodgers big, but, reasonable. Some national guys were listening in and asking questions. So, the beat guys, though, and gal dominated the questioning, and, hey, we need to know. And we hadn't talked to him since the Simeon trade,
right?
For Nimmo, and so that kind of led us into, well, what do you do with Langford? What do you do with Evan Carter? And really the interesting one, I think, is Carter. Is this guy, are they going to rip the Band-Aid off and just let him play every day? Is he going to be healthy? I mean, that's the first and foremost. And it just seems like, it kind of goes back to the question, I guess, that they always ask about Josh Hamilton. Would playing a corner, be better for his body? Maybe, I don't know, but it's not like Wyatt Langford's a little guy. He's going to take a beating. But I really think, though, that Skip seems committed to giving Evan Carter at bats against some left-handers, not all left-handers, against some left-handers. And he said, you have to earn your at bats, but you have to have the opportunity to earn the at bats. So sounds like it might be a trial thing. But again, it comes down to health with Evans. If he's healthy, and all indications are right now that he is. The broken arm thing is healed up. The back only barked once on him last year. That sent him to the injured list. So that's kind of, I think those are kind of the pieces of the puzzle that have to fall in there. You're talking this wonderkin who came on in 23 and the little savior and helped the team win the World Series. And 2 years later, we still don't know about this guy. So that's kind of was the initial focus of the conversation. And second base, where Skip said, he mentioned Josh Smith prominently. He said Duran and Freeman would also have a shot at it, and maybe there would be a platoon opportunity there in some way, shape, or form. But that that it's mostly Smith, and that Smith is motivated. I know a lot of people in the chat have been mentioning this. He said that Josh Smith is motivated to show that he can play a full season, that he's not going to fade in the second half, and that's probably the thing that um, is hanging over him, as he potentially becomes an everyday player for this team.
Sure. And that's the thing. He has had the opportunity to become almost that. It was just that it was at a different position at, almost every day sometimes. And so it's very interesting to know that what that probably entails for him, Jeff, is to approach his off season a little bit differently, right? I mean, there are things he can be doing now, I suppose, to work on those things like stamina, right? And keeping your body fresh for that huge long grind that starts in February and in a perfect world doesn't end until early November.
Yeah, and the mental part of it's a factor. Skip said that a lot of times a young player will, in his mind, come up with like numbers that he wants to achieve at the start of the year, and everything is going great early on, and then you get to a certain point and you're like, oh crap, I'm not going to hit these numbers. So you start to press, and a 5-game slump becomes a 10-game slump and can't hit your way out of it. And that's also something that Skip speculated might have been the case with Josh the last 2 years. But it just seems to sound more and more like they're committed to second base being an internal thing. And, it kind of makes some sense from a financial standpoint to allow them to, if they don't commit the resources to a second baseman, they can spread it into the bullpen and the rotation, and maybe a missing, catcher. Still got to get the catcher. And then maybe a missing, like a bat piece, like we talked about, the right-handed hitting outfielder.
Sure. So I don't know if he would even answer this if he was asked, but was he asked specifically about Luis Ariz and the possibility of him, manning that second base position?
He wasn't. I think that just he didn't. The way he answered the question about second base kind of made it sound like, that's it.
Yeah.
Now I'm not 100% sure, and he probably would have said, "Oh, I really like Luis," but he wouldn't have said,
right, we're gonna go sign him. Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking to him. Oh boy,
Yeah.
it's hot, or no, we're not going to be able to do that. We don't have the money. So it was basically to sum this thing up. It was, if there was a theme, it was young guys. Because questions about Jake Berger and Josh Young followed. There really weren't any pitching questions. It was offensive strategy and getting these young guys to produce, because A, they're cost effective, B, they're talented, they've done it before, and in Berger's case, Skip Schumaker saw it firsthand. And so getting Josh Young back to 23, if that's possible, getting Berger back to 24, and those are all things that the Rangers are going to rely on. They can't change out all 9 batters, or 8. You don't really want to change out to Corey Seager, but you can't. You have to improve within, and especially with the financial constraints. Though I walked in and a couple of reporters were like, "Oh, what are the Rangers going to do? They don't have any money." I think they have some money, right?
Yeah.
They just don't have as much.
Right.
So I still think they'll sign guys that you've heard of. They're just not going to sign guys who are going to win MVPs in all likelihood.
Right. And look, they've got at least one of those who's very capable on the line, on the roster right now, in Corey Seager, and certainly they've got a couple of pitchers who are capable of winning, I suppose, the MVP, although that generally doesn't happen. It has before, but certainly guys that are capable of winning the Cy Young Award. Skip, I know, has plans, right, for everything. And when we asked him about, changing the culture at his introductory press conference, he had an acronym. I think it was PACE. Was it PACE? He had an acronym for it,
I
right?
think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So did he reveal any sort of a plan for how best to get Josh Young and Jake Berger in particular back to what, we know he knows that they can do?
Well, they got to be healthy. Jake was hurt a lot, and early on, had to have the wrist surgery. Josh dealt with a calf thing right in the first week of the season, and maybe he's still feeling his way around that broken wrist. So they got to be healthy. He did mention, Skip, that Josh Young has things to work on offensively, and that he's working on them currently with the hitting coaches at Global Life Field, trying to get it around, and he wants Josh to be hungrier. Um, you know, he said, Skip said, I want Josh to go into camp and try to win a job. Not that it's on the line necessarily, but that's what Albert Pujols used to say when Skip played with the Cardinals, and Pujols would say that, like, this guy who is a no doubt surefire Hall of Famer felt that he needed to go in every season and win a job or perform like that. Well, if Albert Pujols, Skip said, can have that mentality, why on earth can't Josh Young? Right. So, and it seems like so far Josh is taking to the suggestions and the changes that need to be made, and cut down on the chase, be a harder out, use all fields like he did in college. Just some things that he needs to do. It's a big year for him. He is arbitration eligible, and it's not going to break the bank at all. But next year, if he has another subpar year, you get into non-tender territory with him.
Yeah, no doubt. So you mentioned he's already working with the hitting coaches. Is he working with 2 or 3? Do we know about the third hitting coach yet?
Yeah, they have hired a third hitting coach. Skip said it was an internal hire, and I believe he said that it was come on, Jeff. I'm brain farting on this one. Thornton from one of the minor league roving hitting guys, and I think it hasn't been announced, so I don't know if the Rangers are sort of jumping the gun on something for the Rangers, but Skip did say that. So apparently they've got their whole staff in place now. There's just that one missing piece that they thought, I think, Seth Connor was going to fill. And when he decided not to return to the organization, for whatever reason, they had one vacancy there that they needed to fill.
Yeah, and I assume everybody is in town. I mean, as far as coaches, like, to literally physically be working with guys who are in the area, in the Dallas area.
It sure seems that that's the case with the hitting guys. Jordan Teagues lives right near Surprise in the off season, so it's a quick flight, to get down and back. And I would think that they are in there regularly, if not more of a full-time basis. But there's plenty of coaching going on.
Yeah, well, that's great. Lots more coming up from Jeff. The winter meetings are underway. Let's talk about some of the other things he's seen, some of the other people that he's talked to on day one of the winter meetings happening in Orlando, Florida. We do all of it next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Oh, Wild Fork Foods. Jeff and I were there on Saturday. In fact, it was his last act before the Wild sojourn across the country. And what a great day we had. Lots of our diehards, our viewers, were out there watching and having fun with us and talking to us and eating some great food. On that day, we had duck and we had this beautiful prime rib roast prepared for us, and each of us walked away with not only samples of each, but we purchased several things. Several of our diehards did too. Wild Fork Foods is the best place to go for all your meats. Remember, frozen is fresher than fresh. Wild Fork Foods, 9 locations across DFW. It is the place to go and get your meat and your seafood. I came home with some seafood this past time myself. There are delivery options available too at Wild Fork Foods. And don't forget about my favorite shades of all time, Shady Rays. I was wearing them on Saturday at Wild Fork, as I predicted I might. Foggy when we got there, but sunny by the time we left. That might have had something to do with the atmosphere, but it might have had something to do with our mood as we left Wild Fork feeling good and wearing those Shady Rays. The best sunglasses out there. Hundreds of styles and colors available for you at shadyrays.com. And I'm telling you, these glasses are special. Not only made as well as any other glasses that are out there, not only as stylish as those, but you can get these fixed or replaced for free. If you have a problem with them, send them back to Shady Rays. They'll fix them. And if they can't, they'll replace them. They even have a policy where if you lose your sunglasses, which is a YP, right? Your problem. No, actually, they're going to take care of them for you. ShadyRays.com, code DLLS35 for 35% off. Yeah, it was fun out there at Wild Fork Foods.
And, yeah, great time.
Yeah, we really did, and we had some great food. And yeah, well, like I say, we took some of it home. My family loved it as well, so we encourage everybody to go back on out there. Any chance you get to Wild Fork Foods. I think we're going to have some more meetups like that soon. So I saw one picture, Jeff, that you posted, and you said something to the effect of, "Hey, I think I know that guy." Did you talk to that guy? It looked like he was wearing the Rangers powder blue pullover.
Well, he was not. He was hanging with the Giants people.
Yeah.
Kind of a big day for them with Jeff Kent. His interview after being elected to the Hall of Fame. I said I didn't see Boch in there at that time. I'm not sure that he ever had a chance to manage Jeff Kent, but I'm sure their paths crossed at some point. But anyway, he's here. Honestly, looks like he's lost some weight. Looks pretty good. We just because he was talking, we just exchanged hellos and a handshake. But Boch is here. You see the people, not the ones you want to see. You don't see Chris Young walk around here, but we did a TV hit this morning before I got there. And then we're going to talk to him here. Supposedly around 5. It's always later. It's never.
Okay, we lost Jeff for just a second. We'll see if we can reestablish contact with him. But yeah, the first day of the winter meetings, it's one of those interesting things at the winter meetings. They get more and more crowded and more busy each day. So there's Jeff back. That was a pretty quick reestablishment. I was just mentioning the winter meetings I think it feels to me like, Jeff, they get more crowded and sort of more busy every day. I don't know how that is. Like when you cover the Super Bowl, it's obvious more people show up later in the week, but somehow it just seems to be more crowded at the winter meetings by Wednesday than it is today. I don't know. Maybe people are traveling today.
Well, John, I hope my audio is okay.
It is.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
okay.
We hear you great.
It's interesting now because the winter meetings have changed a little bit because they've separated the minor leaguers, and so you did see a lot of minor league guys here today. Chuck Greenberg, Reed Ryan, his son Jackson, they're here. The good to see those guys as always, friends of the show, and just good people. And but John, there's always like job seekers, kids trying to get into the industry. There's some coaches who are trying to latch onto a team. A lot of minor league coaches who you're familiarize yourself with over the years and see them, and so there's a lot of that. No, I didn't get here till a little bit after noon, just because of all the problems, and I wanted to go and shower and change of clothes and brush my teeth and all that stuff. So I didn't get here as early as I normally do. So I kind of had to hit the ground running. But yeah, you see plenty of people here. But as far as the crowds, today it seems to be very crowded.
Okay.
Um, and I wonder if it's now that the minor leaguers have been, I don't want to say phased out, like the affiliate dinners, I believe are tomorrow. Maybe they're tonight, but might be tomorrow. So they may hang around for a couple of days. But it generally, when it used to be a free for all with those every team and bringing all their staff, I mean, it was jam packed. It's hard to
Right.
get a drink around here. And now though, hopefully it's not quite as bad. Though tonight, boom, I'm out. I'm
Yeah.
going home. I'm gonna try to sleep. I'd like to
Yeah.
eat a meal too. Yeah.
Yeah, you might get a nice meal and a couple of beers in you. Get the skipper to pull out his credit card on that deal, by the way. And I don't need to tell you that. And and then yeah, enjoy a nice night of sleep. So it has changed as we've talked about before a little bit, in just sort of they're spreading things out in different ways, right? Is it tomorrow that is the lottery, the draft lottery? And then Wednesday, I think, is the Rule 5 draft. Is that how it's separated out?
Yeah, Wednesday's definitely the Rule 5 draft. Just letting you guys in the chat know we're gonna have to bump the show again to 3 on Wednesday because the Rule 5 takes place during our normal time slot. The draft lottery thing is usually a nighttime made for TV event, so we'll have plenty of time to um, get our showing on the regular time tomorrow. Um, yeah, these little events and um, yeah, I don't know. The Rangers will be have some balls in the lottery. Not sure how many or what their chances are. I haven't bothered to look at that yet, but I imagine pretty thin.
Yeah.
But um, you never know. Hopefully they can move up. Like they did a couple of years ago when they were able to sneak in there and get Wyatt Langford. Um,
Yeah, and I think I'm looking now, I think I saw something. They've only got like a 1.9 chance or something of getting the first
what was the
overall.
match chance,
Well, that's what I
right?
was going to say. That's what I was going to say, the same thing. Mavs had 3.8, I think, and they got Cooper flagged. So, yeah, the Rangers don't have a great chance, but they have a chance. And so, anyway, we'll see what happens there but it is interesting too. It's just the way the MLB draft, it's the way the baseball draft go, as Wash might say. But it's just not as, it's, like when the Mavs got the Cooper flag deal, like the whole world went crazy. And if the Rangers were to jump up and get the number one overall pick, I don't know that people sort of outside of our chat people and people who are really into baseball would. Oh, and Kat's telling me they had a 1.8 chance, the Mavs. So and she would know. And
Yeah,
so anyway, here it is right here. Let me see. Odds. No,
I think
that's
somebody saying
betting.
1.8% chance,
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought I saw.
1.3,
Yeah,
something
right in
low.
there. About like the Mavs did. About like the
Yeah, but the
Mavs
the,
did.
the Mariners though last year had very thin odds to get the top pick, but they ended up moving up to second, if I'm not mistaken, maybe third. Them and the Angels were 2 and 3, I believe. So they turned their fortunes around pretty significantly, whereas
Yeah.
the Rangers, I believe, backtracked a pair from where they should have been.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but again, the baseball, I think it just feels to me like the baseball draft is I don't know, the greatest it's the biggest crapshoot, right? It's always an inexact science. You can have a bust in any draft at any time. Look at the skipper doing a little photo bomb there. But the baseball draft, I don't know, somehow seems to be, you can just have first rounders, you know, just never develop.
Well, you're not going to know in most cases, in a lot of
Right,
cases,
right,
for
right,
4 or 5 years, right? I
right.
mean, you don't hit on a somebody who just like David Price, who showed up at the year he was drafted and end up helping the Rays get to the World Series, or guys who move quickly, like like Bobby Witt, but he didn't. He spent time in the minor leagues. So did Adley Rushman. So Wyatt Langford. He did not debut in his draft year. I mean, he debuted pretty quickly thereafter, but those guys are few and far between. We're talking, in the case of Rushman and Langford, college guys, the high school guys, you got to wait on, and who knows, especially pitchers. Pitchers might blow out, like Jackson Jobe for the Tigers. And then even, Jack Leiter needed 3 years, right?
Yep. And
Lamar
he was a
Rocker
college
is
guy.
kind of taking this long trek that included Tommy John surgery. So it is a crapshoot. And you're not getting help. You're not going into this draft going, okay, our first pick is going to be, a guy who plays 160 games. And whereas the Mavs are like, all right, Cooper Flag, he's in our starting five.
Yeah. You almost never. I mean, it's so rare. Pete Incaviglia, I think, did it, but you almost never have baseball players who play no minor league games, right?
Right. That it's few and far between. And David Clyde, right?
Right. Yeah.
But before going to the minors, his professional debut was his MLB debut. That just stuff that doesn't happen, and it shouldn't happen.
Right.
It shouldn't happen. These guys need to go and see pitches and let their bodies develop, especially the high school kids, and live on their own. And have to figure out how to work on the damn washing machine. So.
Yeah, and it's funny, and this doesn't happen in baseball. In hockey, what happens is, because those young kids can play really quickly in hockey. And, when some of the young guys, the Wyatt Johnstons of the world, get to Dallas when they've only been in the minors for a very short time, they go live with a veteran. And it's a very interesting dynamic. I mean, imagine Corey Seager, right? Taking in, one of the young guys when they get called up. Now, granted, our young guys are both married, right? Wyatt Langford and Evan Carter. I don't think you're taking the whole family in there, but that's how it works in hockey because of exactly that. It's more than just the skill of the sport that you need to learn about. You need to learn about, everyday life and how things happen and how things work. And frankly, I think living with one of the veterans also, they act almost like parents in a way. Like, I know you have a lot of money and you're 19 years old. You ain't going out every night, You're coming home to the Duchesne house or, whatever, and hanging out with me and my wife. But anyway, it's a long process of developing these guys. And obviously the draft thing is tomorrow, and we'll see how the Rangers do on that. We've got lots more coming up as we get to our obituary. Sad news yesterday as the Rangers former owner, Tom Hicks, Rangers and Stars former owner, Tom Hicks, passed away at age 79. We'll look back on his life and his ownership next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Oh, and it's time for you to become a supporter if you haven't already done it. I was talking to T.O. out at the Wild Fork Foods the other day, and I did not realize until he told me that actually anytime he gifts a Supporters Club membership to somebody, he has no idea to whom it's going. And he's always trying to hit it to the people he likes. But the way that donate or give button works, it just sends it to somebody randomly. And so one time he said he was in the chat before the show and they jumped on the Supporters Club thing, and it was only him and one other person. And he was trying to give it to that person, and it still gave it to somebody else. So anyway, he's a great supporter. We would love you to be a supporter too. And if you get one of those gifts, just shoot a note over to T.O. and thank him. He just wants as many people to be involved with us as he is, and he's enjoyed every minute of it, and we hope that you will too. Join the Supporters Club to get behind the scenes look at what we do and how we do it. It's true sicko level stuff. It's been around ever since 2025, this Supporters Club. So do it. Join it today.
Hey, John, I'm going to let you read this ad because I need to sign off. All of a sudden, you sound like you've been sucking helium.
Okay, very
So-
good. You head off and come back, and I
I'll be
haven't
right
been.
back.
I haven't been into the helium yet. I may get there later. And don't forget about our newsletter too. Ali does such a great job keeping all of you informed on what's going on. The Mavs have now won 4 out of 5 games. The Stars with that great victory last night, even as our diehards were there on a Stars takeover. How about that? A Stars takeover last night, and they were treated to a thrilling victory by the Dallas Stars. It's all talked about and reported on in the newsletter, which is free. Scroll yourself down to the bottom of our page, alldlls.com. Just click on the box that says newsletter and then enter your email. It's free, and you'll get this newsletter delivered to your inbox every day. Quick highlights, quick headlines almost, and a short story about each of our teams each and every day. It's the newsletter available to you for free. Jeff is back. Do I still sound like I've been eating helium?
You do not. You sound much better. Much better.
My normal deep broadcast voice. Okay, good.
The sweet and subtle tones of John Radigan's voice.
How about that? All right, so this Tom Hicks news, it didn't come out of nowhere, and because Tom has battled cancer. I hadn't checked lately to get a progress report on him, but I remember it was probably 5 or 6 years ago. The Rangers were in San Diego, and I was on the trip with the team, and I was in the photo well where I sit during games when I do the sideline reporting job, and I'm just sitting there looking out at the field or looking into the dugout, not sure, and all of a sudden I hear just a very familiar voice, and he says, "John Radigan, hello, how are you today?" And Tom Hicks also had a deep, deep baritone voice. And I knew as soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh, wow, that's Mr. Hicks. So I turn around, and there he is sitting in the front row. And in fact, he was sitting in JD's seats. JD was on the trip, too. JD wasn't in his seat at that time, but ultimately JD joined him over there. Anyway, we chatted for a while, and I said, San Diego, what's the deal? And he told me, he said, well, when we went through all the financial difficulty we went through, his wife, Cinda, is from Southern California. He said, everything we were going through financially, my wife said, the only thing we must keep is the house in La Jolla. And he said, so we did. We've got the house in La Jolla. I think they kept something in Dallas, too. I think they were able to. But anyway, they had the house in La Jolla, so there he was. But when I turned to look at him, Jeff, it sounded like the same man. It looked like a completely different man. He was gaunt and very thin and very, just frankly, just sickly looking. And then, we had talked about it. He had at that point he had battled some cancer, and then he had at that point had beaten it. But we know how that goes.
Sure.
It can come back.
Yeah. I started on the beat in late 07, so the 08 season, and really I only had 2 seasons with him, and because the financial difficulties hit in 09, and we didn't see a lot of him thereafter. I remember, but unlike the current ownership group, Tom Hicks would talk to you.
Yes, he would.
You could call him on the phone and talk to him and get answers. And opening day, he held a little gaggle, and it was an anticipated thing. You wanted to hear from the owner of the Texas Rangers, just like you want to hear from. Maybe you hear too much from Jerry Jones, but you want to hear from ownership.
Yeah.
They need to be held accountable. Unfortunately, that's not how the current group talks. I mean, we see Ray and
Yeah,
Neil all the
all the
time.
time, all the time.
Always have talk to them and chit chat and stuff, but they never go on the record. Um, and I guess Ray doesn't like it, and okay, that's fine. But still, um, you need you need to explain why you cut the budget. Yeah, yeah. And I've always thought that was unfair to both JD and to Chris Young. Now they have to speak for ownership, and I don't necessarily know that that's right. But anyway, so Tom talked. It was nice to talk to him. There's no question he spent money, right? I mean, so, he would spend on the team. He's the one who kind of came up with these gigantic long-term contracts when he signed Alex Rodriguez. He did have the foresight um, to go with John Daniels, at a pretty key time there, and um, it was bumpy for a while, but they ended up going to the World Series, and I saw the ESPN story um, that was shortly after he passed. And they gave, they said, well, under his ownership in 2010, the Rangers, went to the World Series. Like, well,
Not
not
quite.
quite,
Yeah.
but that's okay. But I never had a cross word with Mr. Hicks. I enjoyed talking with him, and yeah, it's sad to see him go. When I did run into Chuck Greenberg, and he mentioned, you know, he had lost contact with Tom, and had he was like, man, I didn't have any idea, and kind of talked about how um, when in late, I guess it would have been 2009, they came to an agreement to you know the Greenberg Group and Mr. Hicks came to an agreement to sell the team. And apparently Chuck said that the closing thing was, um, I will give you goggles for the champagne parties, for the celebrations. And then Mr. Hicks said, what about rings? And Chuck goes, yeah. And Chuck said, for the whole family. So that was how the first phase got done. And then, of course, the creditors got involved and everything went to bankruptcy. But um, anyway, I thought that was a nice little anecdote.
Yeah,
Tom wanted to win.
he
There's no doubt
did.
about that.
He
You
did.
know,
You can't take that away from him. He loved baseball. He was ironically more successful because the Stars won a Stanley Cup under his watch.
yeah,
But he had no idea what hockey was. I mean, and he admitted it at the time. He was learning the game as he went, and amazingly bought that team for $84 million. So
yeah,
like somebody wrote today, that's less than the current contracts for any number of given players, Mikko Rantanen and so forth. But anyway, but he was a great baseball owner. He loved the game. He loved baseball. And I think his greatest accomplishments really were two of them, in that he hired John Daniels. He had the vision to hire a 28-year-old kid. And again, I can't discount the fact that he also hired John Hart, which was his
right,
greatest mistake, right? That was his biggest mistake. But then he quickly course corrected. He hired John Daniels, who John Hart brought in, but he brought in JD to be the general manager at 28 years old. And then and then JD helped do this. But so 05, I think it was, he hires JD. 07, he hires Wash. And 08, he hires Nolan Ryan to come
right.
back to the team. And that was the foundation for two teams that went to the World Series that, obviously he would have been a huge part of had he not it had a lot to do with the economy taking a dive when you're a leverage guy like he was.
Yeah,
He was leveraged too deep, and he had Liverpool as well, as we know, half of Liverpool, and he had to sell that. He had to sell the Rangers. He took the Stars even further, deeper into bankruptcy before finally selling them to Tom Gillardi. So it's unfortunate, I think, Jeff, that the memories of Tom Hicks as an owner are the end.
yeah,
Because I think at the beginning we were all feeling like, wow, even from the George W. Bush, Tom Schieffer, Rusty Rose group, we all love them, but they weren't going to be, swinging money around. And
Yeah.
and Tom Hicks came in, and he was swinging it, man. He was throwing money everywhere. He came in and did the 10-year, $252 million deal with Alex Rodriguez, and it was probably as much as $100 million at the time, more than he needed to pay.
Yeah.
And he didn't care. He was ready to do it, and it obviously didn't work out, but it spoke to, and I'll never forget at the winter, that was a winter meetings deal, by the way, and at the winter meetings
Yeah.
at the Anatole that year in right in here in Dallas, he said to all of us, "Oh, we have a firm plan in place to be able to pay for this into perpetuity. We have no problem paying for this." And then 2 years later, there became a little problem, and they got rid of him. Although they paid him, I mean, they paid a large percentage of his salary for years and years, even with the Yankees. So, but anyway, those types of things were unbelievable and refreshing. And then for me, with Tom, he was trying to create at the time a regional sports network. And we had Lynn Television, and he bought Channel 39, which was the sort of the sister station of KXAS Channel 5, and I was at 5 at the time. And he bought 39, and he was going to turn that into a regional sports network. And then realized with the coercion of Fox and all that stuff, and the bigger footprint of a regional network, that it wasn't going to work. But he was well down the road. He had this thing called the Southwest Sports Group, and he was well down the road of trying to create sort of a local media, regional sports network. And he had two properties. He had the Stars and the Mavs. I mean, the Stars and the Rangers, obviously.
Yeah, and he also wanted to, create what is now the entertainment district. He had the plans to add shops and hotels in that area long ago, and I mean it never developed under his watch, but it did under the current group, as they, I guess, kind of bought up all the land, and then put their money where their mouth was, and they developed it, and now who knows? When you put in Ray Davis's worth, Forbes estimates it at 3.6 billion or whatever it is. Does that include all this land? And does that include I guess it doesn't include the money he's gonna make. When the franchise sells, he's gonna stink and clean up.
Unbelievable. And I had dinner with former Arlington Mayor Richard Green last night, who is a resident in the One Rangers Way. And he was telling me, out of that whole huge place that hasn't been open a year yet, there's only 4 units left.
Oh, wow.
They've pretty much sold that thing out. So again, that's another property owned by Ray Davis. And so they're already talking about expanding and doing more there. We know they're talking to Lowe's about another hotel over there by where the Sheraton will be, or where the Sheraton is now, but turning that into another Lowe's property. So really unbelievable growth that, you're right, Tom Hicks saw. And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention his contributions to getting the American Airlines Center built. Now, it looks like it has pretty much outlived its usefulness, which is amazing. We go through these stadiums now like I go through shoes, but it looks like both teams are ready to get the heck out of Dodge there. But it was unbelievable when it opened in the early 2000s. So anyway, rest in peace, Tom Hicks. I know Tom's son, Tommy, quite well. He's the only child of the Hicks family that I got to know. He was involved, but thoughts and prayers to him and to the family. And we'll hold a nice spot in our heart for Tom Hicks and for his family, and despite the way it ended with the two teams. And quickly, I want to say, because Cap put it in the notes here, Leon and T.O. were both gifting Supporters Club memberships as we were reading the spot before. So thank you very much to them. I think they were each getting put out like 5 or more. And
it was like a fight.
Yeah, and Ben is out there doing a behind-the-scenes winter meeting video for our membership. So we'll keep an eye for that. This one will be fun, I promise you. So we've got more coming up here on the DLLS Rangers podcast because we're going to get to our cleanup segment and talk about some of the things that have already been happening at the winter meetings and maybe some that we think will. It's next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Okay, so if you didn't become a diehard during our sale, it's okay. You can still become a diehard by simply scanning that QR code and become a diehard as soon as you can. Because I'm telling you, you're going to want all the content that we have behind this paywall. I mentioned it when I talked about the newsletter. The Mavs are suddenly playing much better, and there's going to be lots written about what should the Mavs do, right? Should they try to get another great draft pick to pair with Cooper Flagg or keep it as is and see if they can win with Anthony Davis? There's a lot to talk about there. Ron Harad will be taking care of that for us behind the paywall. Sam Nestler's got so many good things to say and to write about the Dallas Stars. Of course, we've got our two Cowboys beat writers, Ali and Clarence Hill. And then Jeff is chock full of stuff for this month now already with the winter meetings. And then there's going to be free agent signings yet by the Rangers before Christmas. We'll be all over that. And then, of course, it won't be long after that spring training begins. So you need to get all of that content. It's all available. Anybody who has it will tell you, oh, my gosh, it's so worth it. $79.99 to become a diehard. Take advantage of that and do it today.
Yeah, and you get a free shirt.
How about this?
But yeah, look at these sweet hats that just dropped. I know that To has already collected his. I didn't buy the Stars hat. I guess I didn't see it. So, but I have the other three on their way, and very excited about that. But yeah, when you become a diehard, you get a free shirt. You can pick that up at store.allcitynetwork.com. That's where you're going to find the hats. We're now up to 5 hats, so that is terrific. Now I have a black hat and a white hat, so that when I wear black like today, I can have some options to choose from. I'm wearing the Dallas versus All Y'all shirt underneath this pullover. John, I see you've got the Die Hard going. Yep, absolutely. So again, it's store.allcitynetwork.com to get your DLLS merch.
Yeah, and I saw T.O. put in the I think out on one of the social medias. We do need to talk our DLLS people into getting a Rangers cap, right? I mean, it looks like we've got one with Mavs colors, one with Stars colors, and then I don't know, is the blue one kind of Cowboys colors?
I think it's our initial one I would say is a Cowboys hat.
Kind of Cowboys.
That one, that blue hat definitely has Mavs written all
that's
over
Mavs there. And I think that you know what? I got to be honest. I like the one that doesn't have the DLLS on there. That's one of those where you know if you know. And I know you have that one now. I may need to buy that one. And I'm not a big hat guy, but you never know. All right, let's talk a little bit about what's happening at the winter meetings thus far, as they are underway now in Orlando, and of course the vote for the modern era vote for the Hall of Fame has happened. Jeff mentioned it a little earlier in the program that Jeff Kent was the only one named as a Hall of Famer, and he goes in. He played for a bunch of teams. He
played for 6 teams, yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't play for the Giants as long as he played for, I think, 2 other teams. The Dodgers he was with for 5 years, and I think somebody else. But he goes in as a Giant. His best years, his MVP year was with the Giants.
Yeah, and that was he got a lot of support from who was batting. I think behind him, maybe in front of him, Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
And he was not the media's favorite, and as a personality, and he kind of explained it today. He's like, I was just so intense. I took the game too seriously. I didn't want anybody, interfering with me focusing on the game, and it's unfortunate it came out that way. But he was very emotional in his press conference.
Yeah,
he
really was.
crying. He cried multiple times. Sounds like he has a son who's in the Yankees organization who might be a good player. Um, so it was nice to see. He belonged in the Hall of Fame. I got my vote, I don't know, maybe midway through his 10 years on the ballot, and I voted for him every time. He is one of the best second basemen in baseball history,
Yeah.
and he definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame. Now, of course, it's disappointing that Dale Murphy and Don Mattingly didn't get in.
Right.
I still, um, I don't know. Yeah, you kind of looked at how that crew is. The people who voted on it. You have team executives, Hall of Famers, and some media people, and and Ken Rosenthal wrote a story the other day saying that Hall of Fame Hall of Fame voters need to change. You know, it's different statistics and different things and a different way to look at players, and I think Murphy fits a lot of those categories that the kind of the ancillary stuff, but also just I think the eye test too. The guy was great
Yeah.
for a number of years, and
Yeah.
one of a two-time MVP, one of the best players in the 1980s. A big guy who could run and hit for power, and he hit for average there for a while, and he did fade at the end, whether it be injuries, trying to hang on. Everybody forgets he played for the Rockies, for crying out loud. So, and then on top of everything else, he's this wonderful person.
Right.
The Mattingly issue, I think, is the injuries. We've talked about it before. Really slowed him down, the back problems. But then, like the steroid guys in this committee, or
They
in this
didn't.
grouping,
Yeah.
they were not thought of by this group of
No,
guys.
they didn't get
And
five. None of them got even 5 votes.
yeah, it's going to be hard for them as long as Hall of Famers are voting. At least this kind of, you know, this age of Hall of Famers, and maybe when maybe when the younger guys who've just gotten in start being on these committees, then maybe it changes a little bit. But you're also going to have to, you know, reconcile with younger writers who showed a lot of support for these guys. So I'm not saying they don't have a chance, but they don't have an immediate chance. I don't think they're eligible again until 2031.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a long time. Yeah. But again,
it is.
to your point, this committee will have changed considerably and frequently, between now and 2031.
Hey,
So yeah,
John, I got to tell you, I just got word that I need to head over to our Chris Young meeting. So I hate to
good.
abandon you in your
Yeah,
time of
no
need,
problem. No
but
problem.
you got to
We
finish
got
off the
this.
show.
Yeah,
All
we will.
right.
Great. Good luck. Have
Okay,
fun
guys.
talking to CY, and yeah, we'll talk to you tomorrow. We're doing normal time tomorrow, right? We okay with?
Yep, normal time.
Beautiful.
Okay.
All
See you
right,
guys.
cool. There goes Jeff. More to talk about here, though, with regard to the cleanup segment. Next is that the Diamondbacks have signed Mike Socorro and Socorro, that is, and that's the first sort of big signing, and it's not a very big one. The Diamondbacks have done a deal, though, and it begs the question. I mean, obviously they're trying to make a move with Gallen. It begs the question if that is the money they may have otherwise spent on Merrill Kelly. And Merrill Kelly and the Diamondbacks, I believe, have both expressed an interest, according to reports, that they would both be interested in reuniting. So hopefully, actually, I would hope that this does signal that the Diamondbacks have gone in a different direction for whatever reason, which would leave Merrill Kelly out there as a possibility for the Rangers to re-sign, because I think it'd be really nice to keep him. He's a big game guy that they won't have to invest just a ton of money into. So it might well be a very budget-friendly option and opportunity for the Rangers. So interesting news that the Diamondbacks are already off and running. Framber Valdez will not be a Texas Ranger. I just believe that they're as good as he is. Teams are going to be a little bit shy about his candidacy as a free agent because of the fact that he had that incident last year with his catcher, and he's not a good teammate, and he's a bad teammate, in fact, and everybody in Houston will tell you that. But he's met with officially, I guess he met with the Giants at the GM meetings, and I don't know if it was him or his representatives, but they've met with the Giants, the Mets, and the Orioles. And so it'll be interesting to see. But obviously, Framber Valdez has options, and it'll be interesting to see if he gets the kind of money that he wants to have, and then B, if he really has, he certainly already, I believe, doesn't have as much interest as obviously he would have if he were obviously a better guy, a better teammate. All right, so I like this. Kyle Schwarber is talking to, among other teams, the Mets, right? That's like as bad as it could be for a guy. I mean, for a team, for the Phillies, right? Phillies want him. And if he signs with a division rival, but it's not unlikely that Kyle Schwarber will sign with the Mets, right? I believe that, if we're talking highest bidder, the Mets have a pretty decent chance of being the highest bidder. I did like this with regard to Schwarber. The Pirates have made it very clear. They've put it out there everywhere that they've made a 4-year offer to Schwarber. And it really does seem, we saw something before, they offered somebody else and they said, hang a banner, they made a 4-year offer. And it feels like the Pirates are doing that again. They're like, yeah, we made a 4-year offer to Schwarber, but it's a substandard offer. It's not an offer that he's going to take. And I wonder too, if you're Kyle Schwarber and you have your pick, okay, it's not only about money. I'm going to make a lot of money somewhere, even if they offered more. I'm not sure I go to Pittsburgh. As nice as the stadium is, as cool as the town is, as pretty as it is with the 3 rivers and all the yellow bridges, they're not interested in winning, right? They haven't shown any interest in winning for decades. So if they could go back to the 70s and be like the We Are Family team and all that, that'd be a different animal. But I'm not sure that that's a team that's going to be interesting to the likes of Kyle Schwarber or any of the other free agents that they appear to be offering big money to. Another one that would be funny is Dante Bichette. Comes from the Blue Jays. Bo. Dante's his dad. Bo Bichette coming from the Blue Jays, and he would, he's of course Yankees possibility. Red Sox seem very interested in him, as do the Orioles. So any one of those 3 would be division rivals to the Blue Jays, obviously. So that's one of those that would sting. And then Eugenio Suarez could leave, probably will leave the Mariners, and it appears that Artie Moreno and the Angels are very interested. I saw one of the interviews with Perry Manassian today, who is the general manager, former Rangers clubhouse director, Zach Manassian's son. He's now the GM in LA or Anaheim with the Angels. And anyway, Mum's very much the word on what they're going to do with Rendon. And but it feels like they're maybe going to defer his money, or maybe they're going to figure out a way to get him into retirement early. In any event, it also feels like he won't be playing this year. And so maybe, if they are able to somehow free that money too, that would free them up to make a big offer to the likes of Suarez. So that would be very interesting. The Tigers continue to accept trade offers for Tarek Skubal. That's happening big time at these winter meetings. There are a lot of teams that would love to get their hands on Tarek Skubal. He's got 1 more year with the Tigers before he would be a free agent. They feel like there's almost no chance that they will be in the market to sign him financially. They're just not going to want to go that high to keep him. So there is some wisdom in getting something for him now, getting a lot for him now. They already have the number 2 prospect in all of Major League Baseball. If they can strengthen the farm system even more, perhaps he helps them, sort of sustain the success that they've been having. Although, can they be, without him next year, can they be a playoff team again? I'm not sure that they can, but time will tell on that. They're considering all offers. And then Roki Sasaki, two things about him. One, not surprisingly, he's announced that he will pitch for Team Japan in the World Baseball Classic. But then secondly, he has gone, there was an earthquake that hit in Japan, and he has gone over and done a baseball clinic and things like that to help the victims there and to raise lots of money there. And so seems like a really good guy. It was fun to see the change that he made. And I don't know if he'll ever go back to being a starter now, but the way he helped the Dodgers win that World Series with, coming out of the bullpen like that was pretty amazing. So Roki Sasaki, WBC, and obviously a pretty good guy. So that's going to do it for this edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast. Of course, we've got all kinds of winter meeting stuff coming up all week long. Jeff and the skipper are going to be there until Thursday. So we'll continue to pound you with what's happening at the winter meetings. As we mentioned, Jeff right now is talking to Chris Young, so make sure you watch social media for what Jeff may tell us that Chris Young has said. And of course, he'll give us a full update tomorrow on the DLLS Rangers podcast at 1 o'clock, normal time. We'll see you tomorrow.